Hi there. So for this bonus step, what we're going to be doing is actually using custom materials to customize some of our enemies that we have in our game. So I'm going to be working with our snow enemies, of course. Go to the prefabs folder and then enemies. One thing to note is that this particular step isn't going to work great with every enemy. Typically, this is going to work best with enemies that have some kind of armor. So if you chose the snow environment, the skeleton warrior is a great option, as he has all these little armor pieces. Stuff like the wolf isn't great because he only has kind of his main color. You're welcome to try it on those. They just might not look all that great, but that's okay. So what we're going to be doing is just creating some custom materials to kind of change the way some of the pieces of this guy looks. It can be tricky to make it look natural, but this is kind of our chance to get creative and kind of mix and match the way things look. So what we need to do is go into our resources folder once we have this guy here in our base scene, and go to this folder called materials. Here we're going to right click, go to create, and then find material, and then we're going to name this custom. We'll do custom enemy material, and then we'll say, we'll just call it that for now. So we're going to have just custom enemy material. We need to make at least one, so this one will be fine. But if you're thinking you'll want to do multiple, you can just select it and hit Control or Command D and duplicate that. You don't have to worry about renaming it because all we're going to look for with check setup is this first custom enemy material. Anyways, I'm just going to do the one here. So what you need to do now is identify which part of your enemy you want to customize. Fortunately, the skeleton warrior here is like very, very... he's got tons of little armor pieces that we can play with, and all of these are their own objects, which is kind of what we want. I might change the color of his actual skeleton. I think that could be cool. So you see, if I just click on the pieces of him, sometimes we'll get the whole object, but if we double click again on one of these pieces, it'll allow us to kind of click through it until we get what we want to select. So like I said, I'm going to try the skeleton. I think that'd be maybe pretty cool. And I'm just going to drag our custom enemy material right onto the skeleton that we have selected. And you can see that immediately changes him to a very white color, a very, very light gray. And that's actually just the default color for a Unity material. So now what we can do is select that material, and then up here in the top right of the inspector, we have some settings we can play with that's going to adjust how this material looks. So this top one called albedo is going to determine the color. So I'm going to keep him... I want to be mostly gray, but I want to add a tinge of color to it. So I'm going to move into kind of this bluish section here. And I'm going to move down the scale to get into the grays on the left side, and then kind of over to the right into the blues. Ooh, that's kind of cool. He's almost like an ice guy here. Like that. And then these two sliders below this you can play with as well, these metallic and smoothness sliders. The metallic option is going to make it look more like metal, and the smoothness is going to affect how shiny it is. So if you want it to be super shiny and super metallic, you can go all the way, or just one or the other. I'm going to go with a not very smooth option because it almost makes it hard to make out his face a little bit. And then we're going to make it a little more metallic. So he's got some, you can see the kind of shine coming off the sides of him. So now he really kind of looks like he's made of ice almost. And there we go. Like I said, if you have multiple materials or multiple objects on the enemy you want to make use of, you can just duplicate this material, apply the duplicated version. You can double check that you picked the right one by selecting the material, and it should say material 1 at the end. And if we drag this onto another piece, we can change the color of that piece to whatever we want. But like I said, I kind of like the just the one material here. So we need to have at least one, but again, you can do as many as you want. Just make sure you have one named custom enemy material and that you put it on an enemy in your base scene. Once you've got that done, go ahead and save your scene.